you have things like Marks and Spencer has a range called Found, and Aldi have one called Unearthed, and they're terrific value, sort of £7, £8, £9, £10. And some of them are grapes in places I've never heard of, and I've been doing this for decades, you know. So there's people are, and they're staying on. You know, those are, I've talked to buyers. They work for them. They're introducing new lines, which hopefully will become staples from obscure places and grapes that shows just beyond Malbec and Sauvignon Blanc and Pinot Grigio, you know.
Hey guys, this is Sid Patel, CEO of London Wine Competition and Beverage Trade Network. We are live from London at the 8th Annual London Wine Competition. I have here Martin Moran, Master of Wine. He's based in Dublin, so thank you for coming all the way here.
My pleasure.
And he also writes, for wine column for Sunday Times there, I believe, right?
Yeah, it's the Rupert Murdoch one, but there's an Irish edition, so a bit of it changes for the publication there, including local stuff like wine and housing and what have you.
Amazing. So, we have a fantastic journalist, and the topic that's why I selected was a little bit broader on where things are and where he's seeing, because I'm sure he's doing some research all this for his writing.
Sure, yeah.
So let's, Martin, why don't we start on what are your observations and any take you want to give for the current state of our industry?
Oh, just in overall, it's weird. I think certainly in the UK, the tax changes have screwed things up a bit. I think people are going to be making things for sort of these lower alcohol wines, keep things down. So that's going to be weird, and see how that sort of pans out. And I think there's a bit of it depends how engaged you are with wine. There's very engaged younger people going for natural wines and the light and fresh, as you call them. But the vast cohort of people is like, 19 crimes, Dada Mel, but it's wines with sugar in them that they like. So there's still going to be an awful lot of that. But then there's a huge amount of exciting new things coming on from all over the world beyond just the classic regions. So there's
like what?
All sorts of countries have. Spain is alive with innovation, and Portugal is so undervalued. And there's so much going on there. South Africa is, and people don't value, I think, the top Chileans or Argentinians enough. All the top Australians. There's some the top wines like Burgundy and Bordeaux, hideously expensive. But there's exciting wines being made all around the world if you just broaden your horizons a little. It's a good time to be alive. So.
Well, I love the optimism there. Let's go on trends, right? Like precisely, if you had to pick, what are your observations in the top 5 regions or varietals? What are you seeing growing?
Well, I should say there's a lot of this light and fresh stuff, which is, it's not just the consumers. I think there's a new generation of winemakers who are sort of standing back from the kind of parkerized heavy oak and rich styles and making lighter styles. It's a mixture of producers and engaged consumers. When that's happening, so you're getting a lot of things like, I think there's Grenache in all sorts of places, from Gredos in near Madrid, or in South Africa, Sanso in Itata in Chile, and again in South Africa. People making these wines which traditionally workhorse Rhone grapes, and things, but making them taste like not Premier Cru Burgundy. So exciting things, sort of new wave, lighter wines coming out of places like that, which was.
A lot of winemakers are also trying new techniques, and
yes, of course. There's all the skin contact stuff, and there's amphora, concrete eggs. I mean, I can't remember the last time I visited a winery that didn't have a couple of concrete eggs in it. That they built. There are fashions playing out in terms of that, which is great. I think that it used to be there was just lots of new barrels.
And are you seeing anything that now you think it's no more a trend? It's a normal. It's a new way. People. It's the style has just changed now, basically.
Well, I think, say, with the wines which are interesting, it's this lighter style with a lot of concrete eggs and things. And one of the things I find most exciting is for white wines is fermenting in old oak with low solids levels and indigenous yeasts, and you're getting incredible sort of textured wines. I mean, you get something like Grey Wacky doing in New Zealand doing his wild Sauvignon Blanc, and others are doing that in South Africa with Chenin Blancs, and all around the world. The people, I've just come back from Argentina, and the people doing Dorantes even, and other Chardonnays, and all sorts of things in old oak, in putting them in ceramic or in concrete eggs. They're looking, I think, for texture, not just something a little bit different, not just look, it's pineapple-y, it's fruity, it's, that sort of thing.
Now, I want to switch gears here a little bit, for the consumer side, because you do address that in your writing, right? What stories are capturing more attention? What is the consumer interested in these days?
I would think there's no one type of consumer. There's there's the very involved consumer that wants the stories behind the label and to seeing what those kind of trends are. But everybody, I think, everybody's looking for value. I think whether you're at the bottom end of the market, it's like, oh, you mean that wine in Lidl at £6 is really good? Oh, fantastic! Let me get that. And by the way, there are good things in Lidl and Aldi for £6, £7, £8. And but even further up the scale, we all like a nice wine, but a nice wine we didn't overpay for. I think everybody warms to that, no matter what your income level. So I think value it's a key driver for most consumers, and for the engaged ones, discovery. So looking for new varieties, new regions, and in terms of are people looking beyond the obvious, you have things like Marks and Spencer has a range called Found, and Aldi have one called Unearthed, and they're terrific value, sort of £7, £8, £9, £10. And some of them are grapes in places I've never heard of, and I've been doing this for decades, So there's people and they're staying on. Those I've talked to the buyers. They work for them. They're introducing new lines, which hopefully will become staples from obscure places and grapes that shows just beyond Malbec and Sauvignon Blanc and Pinot Grigio.
So I went to one of the stores here of Marks and Spencer, and I was amazed with how much of private label the UK market is involved in, right? Like 80% was just private label.
It's very much a thing here. It always has been. I mean, Marks and Spencer's is pretty unique in that almost nothing there is not a private label.
True.
I mean, a few things I've said, oh, that's not private label. They say, no, but it's exclusive to us in this market. So
where I was going with this question was, if I saw, let's say in white, I saw a Prosecco and I saw a Chardonnay and I saw XYZ, let's say 10 types of white.
Yeah.
So my gut feeling says that they are the ones who have all the money for the consumer research and where they think buck is next. So maybe that is a reset in a big chain is usually a good sign of what is current average Joe and
sure.
drinking.
Yeah, and talking about a lot. There's a lot of very good supermarket buyers in this country. So some of them winemakers, some of them masters of wine, and it's funny. Marks and Spencer's is weirdly focusing on them, quite sort of cutting edge. I mean, I bought the other day and reviewed a Sanso from Itata in Chile, which I was just talking about, which is like, wow, this is old vine. This is really obscure. This is way beyond. This is very left field, beyond the sort of. The Chardonnays and the Merlots and things. This is like them trying to break somewhere new. I mean, years back they were doing New Zealand Pinot Noir when it was from Otago when it was barely a thing, or Greek Riesling. I mean, they've always got something new.
Understood. So they also try different.
So they in many ways they really, I guess they think that they want something different and unique, and offering good value, and so they're quite. Rather than just filling it up with the staples, they've actually got a part of their range, and Tesco as well, that really explores the edges in quite an interesting way. It's not just independence. And like I said, that Found or the Unearthed ranges are really quite interesting stuff, and they cost almost nothing.
How are they bringing new people or more growing their wine sales?
I'm not sure about
foot traffics or any ideas?
I'm not sure how. I think I don't know the figures on the UK market, more the Irish ones.
Okay.
I don't think it's slipping back particularly. I mean, money's tight for everybody, taxes going up and things.
What are you seeing in Europe? Like any particular countries that are better and some are weakening?
Well, they're all different. I think Spain is on a roll in terms of...
Even consumption? Local consumption?
Hard to say local, but it's certainly in terms of exports to Ireland and the UK, and to Germany, because I go there quite often. You're seeing an awful lot more Spanish wine from all sorts of regions, all sorts of interesting grape varieties beyond just Rioja and Tempranillo or Torres or whatever. And Italy is just, I don't know about local consumption, but it's just 1,000,001 different wines. You could drink nothing but Italian wine and never drink the same wine twice. It's there's a lot going on. It's a fun, interesting time. There's always something new to. I mean, I have ADHD, so I get distracted very easily. So I always want something new and different and interesting. And so that's kind of fun because that's what the wine market is.
So one question about storytelling, right? Who better to ask? So what are some good examples of a title or a story that you think producers should tell more? How do you tell a good story?
Well, that's a good question. I think these days, certainly for the younger generation, sustainability is a really important thing. I mean, who doesn't want to save the world one glass of wine at a time, And it's not just the consumers. It's a lot of the producers now. His name Gerard, in the south of France, has hundreds and hundreds of acres biodynamically grown vines and things. So it's that whole sustainability is a big factor, and like the New Zealanders push it, like 80 or 90% of their wines are made from sustainable vineyards and things, and they have very green hydroelectricity, and there are people trying new packaging and what have you. So it's a really big drive, and I think a lot of people want to hear about that. They want to hear that They don't want, Franken wines, as they call them, made up sort of California or south of France or wherever, fake yeasts and oak chip flavouring and God knows what, like an industrial product. People like to hear about, a passionate young couple and a vineyard somewhere doing it, with an indigenous variety and just as naturally as possible. Not necessarily sulphur-free or anything, but just that there's people behind the label, if you see what I mean.
And as per you, Martin, what are some regions which are really offering great value right now?
Well, value is a funny question. That's not just an inexpensive. It can be, hitting above the price point, even at a higher price point, as it were. But at the bottom level, as it were, I think no one drinks enough Portuguese wine. There's so much value to be found.
I've been hearing that a lot.
So much value to be found in Portugal, right through the spectrum, from the very bottom to the top. Even up in and it's things like not just red wines, but white wines. White wines in the Douro, for example, are incredibly exciting and they can be very inexpensive, or they can be expensive but still great. Spain is awash with. I think Rioja is reinventing itself with single vineyard wines and new grape varieties. Northern Spain is, Galicia is just incredible, Godellos, Albarinos, so many interesting things coming out. And not expensive yet, no, they're not at all expensive. Italy is just, I think the kind of hidden gem in Italy is the white wines. Great varieties from the south, such as Greco di Tufo, Fiano, things you don't, or Catarratto, I just had a few tasting there, which they're not really famous grapes, and people always think, oh, Italy, red wines. And it's the whites I find doing some exciting things. South Africa again is always undervalued, I think, certainly at the entry level, and at the top end. But one of the things having just come back from South America, there's some fantastic wines in Argentina, and I just saw it. I know, for example, Lidl now they have an Uco Valley Malbecs, and they're about £7 a bottle. It's like for nothing. And if you're looking for Malbec, and everyone's, oh, not another Malbec. Not just Mendoza, but the Uco Valley is like a subsection at a higher altitude. More elegant wines, never jammy. They're lovely, and they're as little as £7. But you can go to 50 and 100 if you look at the things Tim Atkin writes up about. They're really serious, world-class wines. You think, oh, that's a lot of money, but what are the prices like for top Bordeaux and Burgundies? So in that context, they're not. So they can say that they offer value. So again, as I said earlier, I think Australia's best wines, apart from the very top ones, are undervalued. There's great Chardonnays. From say Vas Felix or Tapanapa or Shaw and Smith, you think, oh, 30, 40, 50 pounds a bottle? It's like, yes, but do you know what Village Burgundy costs? Meursault and Pouilly Montrachet, that's 70, 80 pounds a bottle, and these knock spots off them. So there's value to be had in the entry level areas, in the sort of, even here's one, I must add in, I forget it. Hiding in plain sight, Bordeaux, you're thinking, oh, it's hugely expensive. But at the lower levels, you have things like the Premier Côtes, Côte de France, Côte de Castillon, £10 a bottle, £12 a bottle. They're fantastic for that money. People just write off Bordeaux because it's, the top end's so expensive, it's just irrelevant. I mean, who's got £500 or £1,000 a bottle to spend? Well, a few people, but... And you kind of write the whole thing off, and you're thinking, I've got my £10 or £12, and I'm going to go for value in Spain or Italy. It's like, no, actually, Bordeaux at that level can be rubbish, but it can be really good if you get a good vintage, and just not beyond Bordeaux Rouge, the kind of the Côte de Castillon, that sort of thing. They're terrific value in a like hiding in plain sight. A Bordeaux value. Who knew those two words could be in a sentence? Do you know?
So what do you think about the way we judge quality, value, and package?
Well, that's interesting. I'm used to just doing the entire thing blind, and it's just like quality, and you're thinking, okay, what's that? That's 85, 90, 100, whatever. And the value thing is quite interesting, because if I try not to look at it, because it is having read about this, once your brain sees that that's an expensive wine, you're now tasting through a prism that you can't unsee. So that's kind of a slightly odd, but it's in other ways I quite like that, because sometimes you get them. I just had one there. I won't say who it was. And I'm thinking, how much are they charging for this? Are they crazy? Oh, wow, that's good. So that's kind of nice. And packaging is a whole element which I've never seen at the competition. I've judged all around the world, and it's absolutely a critical thing, because you walk into a shop, whether it's a supermarket or an independent, and we shop with our eyes. Maybe thinking I want a Bordeaux, or I want Chardonnay or something, but they're like, oh, look at that, that's nice. Labels sell. We buy with our eyes, so it's fascinating to see somebody doing that we actually do that after we've done all the other stuff, and then adding that in. That's a really plus element that I don't see anywhere else.